Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Trader Merlin Show. It is your Tuesday afternoon edition, Taco Trivia Tuesday. Don't worry about my hair. I don't know what's going on. I'm wearing a hat all day, and my hair just went unruly on me today. I just look disheveled. I'm getting ready. Let's see. A couple quick announcements. So I'm looking at my schedule, trying to figure out if I can get everything I need to get done and do a show for you guys tomorrow, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do it, guys. I have just so much going on. So unfortunately, no show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I will be in Orlando at the Money Show. I've already mentioned that a few times. Again, I hope to see some of you there. October 16th through 18th. And then here is my full list of presentations for those of you that will be going. Screenshot this bad boy. You know where to find me, and then we'll probably congregate afterwards or go do something after that. Friday, Friday's a busy one. 8 a.m. presentation, a noon presentation, then I have a dinner at 7, so maybe you could do something for lunch or something in the morning. And then Saturday, got an early morning presentation, I leave. Thursday, I'm there pretty much all morning, so if you want to do something Thursday, that'd probably be a good time to do it as well. So, sorry for that bad news. I know, you were just hoping I would do a show tomorrow. I did too. I just can't seem to squeeze in all the prep time that I need to do. And, you know, if I half-ass this show, you guys let me know, and you will let me know, and I don't like to do a garbage show for you. So my apologies for that, but I just got too many things to get ready. Finished my Bitcoin presentation last night, which I enjoy it. I'm a fan of the way it came out. I'm working on my stablecoin one today, and hopefully I'll knock that one out this evening so that when I go to Orlando, it'll be nothing but business when I get there and stage domination. I hope so. We shall see. You never know how it's all going to go when you do these presentations, but a little disappointed. There was one gentleman who's supposed to be there I've been looking forward to meeting. His name is Charlie Sherm. He's one of the OGs in the industry of crypto, and I was really looking forward to pick his brain. However, as usually happens, I think that I might be the beneficiary of his absence. I don't know for sure yet, but I'm hoping I can be on part and take his spot on some of the panel discussions that may be going on. So keep your eyes open if you're going to the Orlando Money Show. I'm excited. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. I always really enjoy these things, and if you want more information, you can check out Money Show. I think I had a link somewhere to the register for those of you who haven't quite done it yet. All right. You guys are awfully quiet today. Normally I get all kinds of chatter going on by this point in time. You guys all right? We doing good? You have a decent day? Even though it was a down day, not the best looking down day. Let's bring up that. There you go. Boom. And there is the link to Orlando. Well, eyes wide open. Oh, I hope so, Les. Looking forward to meeting you. It's been, how many years have you been watching this show? Is it 3 years now? 4 years? You've been watching this show? It's probably since 2020. Through ups and downs, and still have not had a chance to meet. Owen, good to see you. So let's talk about today's discussion. This was a topic that was suggested by John H. We'll just leave it at that. John H. brought in this topic, and I thought it was a good one. Certainly not going to say it's my area of expertise, but certainly an area of interest. I think we should all be interested in rare earth minerals, and that's not just, I put minerals because a lot of people think it's just metals. I think there's a lot more that comes out of the ground that's used throughout the world. And we are in a situation right now where the trade talks with China, it feels like they're revolving around two things. Now, of course, we know that I put trade war update, not much of an update, really. It's just posturing, right? Yesterday, don't worry about China. Today, I'm going to hit it with more tariffs. It's just back and forth every day, so expect more volatility as we go. The two main parts here are that China wants our AI chips to be sent without being censored or getting lower versions of those chips. And of course, the US is concerned that those may be used for defense and military purposes, which they probably will be. China, on the other hand, is saying, well, we're not going to give you our rare earth minerals because that could be used for defense. And it's this tit for tat kind of holding out. Now, that doesn't mean that if we come to some agreement, all of a sudden we're sending all these AI chips over there and they're sending us all their rare earths. There will be some sort of compromise in how these things can be used. What we do know is that it's causing a frenzy for metals. And over the past few weeks, precious metals, rare earths in particular, have been going absolutely gangbusters. So the question from John, more of a statement really, is like, look at rare earth minerals and metals, and what are your thoughts there? Is it too late to jump in? Is this one of those things where you got to be careful with it? Well, that will be the discussion for today. Now, I'm going to run through a bunch of different companies here just to look at the charts. Now, the ones I'm going to focus on are US based. Remember, the issue is China is pulling tons of the stuff out of the ground because they already have all of the mining facilities in place. what's happening in the United States is we have some in place, but now there's a scramble to get as many of them open as possible, right? It's like this, well, why should we worry about China when we have plenty of space here to extract, and not only just from the US, but maybe we can get it with other partners in other parts of the world. We get stuff from all over the place. All over the place. China's using their supply of rare earth minerals as a bargaining. Exactly, Steve. That's what I was getting at. They're using the rare earth to get better AI technology, and Trump is holding back, and understandably so. China has also said that they're okay sending rare earth minerals as long as none of it is used for defense. Okay. Come on, how are you going to enforce that one? We'll just create a couple shell corporations, and I don't know about that. But there are companies like I was reading up on this today. Lockheed Martin, their F-35 relies significantly on rare earth minerals. So if they don't get those minerals, the production of F-35 starts to slow down, if not stop. And of course, Lockheed Martin's earnings would be impacted. So as I always try to emphasize in trading and investing, there's this domino effect that one piece can have a ripple effect that goes through and impacts many, many different companies, sectors, industries, etc. And if this goes on, and I don't know exactly what F-35 minerals they're using, but if that becomes a significant shortage, and the F-35 is a big product for Lockheed Martin, then maybe we look at Lockheed Martin as a potential shorting opportunity because they can't deliver on their promises. Of course, you look at Lockheed Martin's chart here, it's looking pretty darn good. I mean, really, since July, it's gone from 410, currently sitting at 505. So not a bad rally to the upside. Everything. A lot of really high-end technology pieces are using rare earth. You have even things like electric vehicles are using rare earth minerals. And that was the big argument many years ago. I remember people telling me, well, all of these, and this is a condescending statement, but this is what my friends used to say, okay? So apologize if this is not meant to ruffle any feathers, but I remember years ago, I have a good friend up in Northern California who, he hates electric vehicles. He just despises them. He's like, oh, these freaking idiots that buy these electric vehicles just save the planet, man, save the planet. And they're digging these giant mines to extract all these rare earth minerals so that the Prius can run. You're doing more damage with rare earth. It's like, well, there might be some argument to that. Nothing is ever going to be a pure, clean source of extracting minerals from the ground. But a lot of these rare earths, and there are many different ones, Margaret, I couldn't give you a list of those right now. Maybe down the road I can. What I wanted to do is just say, from an opportunity perspective, hey, good to see you, Gary. From an opportunity perspective, does this rare earth segment present good opportunity right now, or is it extended and overdone? So let's take a peek at some of the big names. I'm going to just focus on domestic U.S. producers of rare earths, and this is the list. I'm going to go through them one by one just so we can check that out. If you go ARRNF, this is one that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And look at the chart. This thing's pretty much done nothing forever and ever and ever, and then literally in the last couple of days, it's gone from 27 cents up to 78, almost 80 cents. Woo! Sorry, Jim. I'll give you a big hug. It was not meant to be offensive. I try not to offend people in this program, and I hate sometimes my I guess my personality type or my just bluntness sometimes ruffles feathers, but I'll give you a hug, Jim. I'll give you a hug. It does look like kind of an internet chart, like a crypto chart, just a monstrous spike. And, I don't know enough about American rare earths, but I'll tell you what, if you're in a trade war with China and the bargaining chip from China is rare earths and your company name is American Rare Earth, I mean, I would imagine money would flow into this even if people didn't know what they do, right? Just rip into the upside here. So that's one. Our next one on that screen was critical materials, CRML. Now, keep in mind some of the, by the way, some of these were in a very nice uptrend before that. Like if you look right here, check out CRML going back to, let's say, June of this year. It was down at $1.42. And it really had just a beautiful trend to it. Like higher highs, higher lows. This is absolutely fantastic. And then you have the hype. And this all started, that the big boom started October 1st. It's gone from $6, it broke 32 today. This looks like an exhaustion gap. This looks like one of those charts where it gapped up, had a huge gap, actually tried to fill the gap, and ultimately didn't have much change. These are the types of at least in my opinion, that this is going down tomorrow. I'm going to bet This will probably go down tomorrow, critical metals. And keep in mind, from a percentage rate of return, from what we saw on October 1st to where it closed at today, you're talking a 400% gain in 9 days. Awesome. And I think I would explain this to John. John was mentioning that his father is just crushing it. He's been reading IBD, doing all this research, and he's just killing it in rare earths. Awesome. In my opinion, when you have something that moves up 400% in 9 days, you take some off the table. Easy, simple. Take half off the table would be my thing, just for myself. That way you can just pat yourself on the back and go, man, I got lucky there, made a killing. And if this does continue, you'll have some more upside gain. Maybe set a trailing stop for that second half. But some of these rare earth companies are just absolutely crazy. So this is a great one. I wouldn't touch it just because of that move. Too scary for me. You could argue that there's going to be plenty more upside potential, and that may be true. But it looks to me like this is just a fear trade, and people just spike this thing to the upside. Love it. Okay, great. Next is Core Rare Metals. That's UURAF. UURAF. Same picture, although a little bit more controlled, right? This looks to be much more controlled. Back here in July of this year, this thing was trading down around 75 cents. It hit a high price of almost $11. Phenomenal move, but you got unfilled gaps here. I just don't like when things get really extended like this. Once I get through all these, I got 5 more to do. We'll talk more about it. Yep. And market says China dominates both global production and reserves though other nations hold significant untapped potential. Exactly. And this is what I think the gold rush, if you will, or let's call it the rare earth rush is doing, is it's saying, look, we have them here in America too. Maybe not the full selection that China has available to them, but there's plenty of other land masses. Like, you're telling me there's no rare earth in Africa? I'm pretty sure we could set up some facilities right there, set up some infrastructure, build some cities around it, and we'd have plenty of rare earth from Africa. Or maybe some of our relationships with Argentina. Remember, we just bailed out Argentina to the tune of, $20 billion we bought of the Argentinian peso to bail out their crumbling economy. Maybe we get some favors there. Argentina's got some land and some mines, I'll tell you that. So there certainly are other places we could go, but it doesn't stop the issue of these businesses need these minerals now. Right? To continue growth at our current production rate, they need more. Case Sweeney says, we do not have processing plants in the U.S. That's the issue. That I did not know, okay. That would make sense given a lot of our EPA problems. Maybe we do have facilities. Ken, maybe Sweeney, maybe you can correct me on this one. Maybe we do have the facilities, but because of regulatory or EPA things, we can't go past a certain level or can't do certain things. Because if that's the case, wouldn't surprise me to see Trump remove all EPA restrictions and say, no, just go ahead and process that all. We're good. Just dump it in the rivers, dump it in the land, whatever. We'll worry about that later. We need it today. We will go here and bring up a bit more. I want to go through a couple more here. I don't want to waste all our time. But Ramaco Resources. That's METC. Same picture. Although I actually like this. This is the best one so far. Yeah, it was drill, baby, drill. Now it's mine, baby, mine. Hey, that's all right. Same phenomenal gains, but at least this one feels more controlled, right? When we looked at like CRML, that was just too much of a parabolic spike there. I think that was just people looking for anything to do with mining in the U.S. and bam, there we go. Sweeney says we had facilities, Manny, most have been closed for 20 years plus. It is an EPA issue. So Sweeney, did that make sense though? Like if there was an EPA issue, you would think that Trump would go in and say, we're going to remove that issue and we can get those facilities back online. Now, I, for one, feel that there's always this tit for tat with the EPA. I think it's sometimes they go too heavy-handed and lock things down for reasons that maybe they shouldn't have, be too environmentally friendly. And other times where I'm like, wow, why did the EPA let that happen, right? It's kind of finding that balance. And, of course, I think all of us may have different opinions about what exactly would be pollution or toxicity and, what can they discharge into the rivers, et cetera. Yeah, there we go. Interesting. All right, so that is Ramaco Resources. We're getting to some of the bigger names here. At least there's one at the very bottom was probably, getting to MP, which is coming up. We had USA Rare Earth. That's USAR. The reason I'm reading all these off is for the podcasters out there for writing them down. And again, this is a chart that has just done nothing. This looks like garbage. And then all of a sudden, this issue happened, and it goes from, $13 up to $42 in just a couple of weeks here. So USA Rare Earth is another one. This is the big player. It would be MP. That is MP Materials. And there is your chart of it. This one was already moving up long before. So my guess is, in my little understanding of this industry, which I think Sweeney knows way more than I do, these guys were already a pretty big player in that space, and they were already trending up going all the way back into 2024. So things look pretty good there for MP Materials. Two more. We've got Rare Earth, Rare Element Resources. That's REEMF. I hope I put the ticker symbols in right. Here's another one that actually going into the last week had a fairly decent uptrend, although it's got some real volatile swings, right? Big spikes, big spikes, big spikes. That's REMF. And finally, Mercury Systems. That is MRCY. Now, these are all on lists of being some of the bigger U.S. rare mineral companies that maybe you could buy or be a part of by buying. Now, I didn't know that the government, I don't know that, Steve. Maybe they did, I don't know. Steven says, didn't the government buy 15% of MP? Maybe. And it wouldn't surprise me to see the government buying more of it. Not of MP, but of other companies that are in that space. And I would argue that the government buying rare earth mineral companies is probably a better idea than the government buying and spending billions of dollars on Intel. We've got a lot of competition for chips, and the demand for chips is certainly great, but rare earth materials, minerals, etc., and metals seem to be growingly important in some of the advanced technology that we're building. They did buy? Wow, that's crazy. Love it. Keep on expanding. So they're working on it. A lot of this is building out facilities themselves, just going to take a bit of time. Pollution is the issue, and had them all outsourced. Right, that would be my main belief, was that pollution is the issue. Right, when you're digging in a mine, there's always pollution and contaminating water tables, and of course people get upset. Now, I for one, just as I stay on camera here, I for one love this segment. I think it's got a ton of opportunity. I think it's also got way too much emotion in the past week. So I wouldn't touch it. I would wait for a nice pullback in it, because I do think rare earth is going to continue to be a good one, but I don't think looking at a 400% gain in just a couple of weeks is something I want to buy into right now. What I would probably do if I had to make a choice here is I wouldn't pick winners here. I don't feel comfortable picking any one of these. Or maybe MP Materials because you got big government push behind it. All right, fine. I would probably go with some of your ETFs. And I put 3 ETFs on here. The first one is VanEck Rare Earth Strategic Metals. That's REMX. I'll bring those up here for you, and you'll notice something when it has fairly thinly traded volume on this one for a while. And if I add volume in now, look at the interest now. Right? This means everybody is jumping on board that trade. Everybody's jumping on board that trade right now. Volume, if you go back into April of this year, this thing traded 81,000 shares, 40,000 shares, and as of today, 4.35 million. So big time push of people buying into rare earth. You also have the Sprott Critical Metals, which is SETM. Same picture. Look at the volume. Right? This to me, if you go, and I think Les, you asked this a while back. You asked me something, you said, was this climactic volume? I think it might have been on that Bitcoin down day. I remember you asked that question, but I can't remember what exactly stock it was or chart it was. We're getting to the point of climactic volume. Remember, a train leaves the station with nobody on board. And then all of a sudden, when everybody's on board, it goes the opposite direction. I'm not saying that this thing is ending right now, but so many more people are jumping on board this trade. It's starting to get a little bit crowded, and would lead me to believe that this might have a pullback here soon. So great opportunity for anybody that's looking for, yeah, that's right, that ES had that one big down day in high volume. And yes, that was capitulation. See, my mind's not that messed up. I got some clarity in there somewhere. But this is a chart I like to look for as a potential reversal signal. When this volume really starts to spike like this, and it feels like it's really surging high above normal volumes, I would be looking for pullbacks on this bad boy. And I got one last one, and that is the Optica Rare Earth and Critical Metals. That's CRITF. Type that in here. I guess I got the wrong one. Let's see. OPT. I got to type it in here. Optica. Let's go into this. Funds. Nope. Maybe apparently I got the wrong one. All right. Well, forget the Optica. No Optica Rare Earth. We'll leave that one out. I would most likely, for myself, go with an ETF, just because I don't know enough to pick these winners. Do I think there's opportunity? Absolutely. Even if this gets resolved and Trump says, okay, we'll send you these chips as long as you give us these minerals, there's going to be excessive demand for rare earths going forward. Maybe down the road, when I have some time, I can do a deeper dive into all the different rare earths that are being utilized by different companies, what they're looking for. You know, right? What rare earths does a Prius use, a Tesla use? What rare earths does Lockheed Martin need? How much, right? Where do they come from? And that might be a better window into buying opportunities here. But, you know, John, you sound like your pops is crushing it right now. Just look at some of those pictures, right? A lot of them are getting fairly long in the tooth, especially some of the ones I brought up on the individual stocks like MRCY. You know, not MRCY, your CRML, MP as well. That's not the one. MP. There we go. You know, getting a bit long in the tooth. I mean, when you have something that goes from $60 up to $100 in a week, that's one you should look at and be like, I feel pretty fortunate on this specific trade. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe I should do a poll here, but do you think that from this point forward, let's just go this way. Do you think from this point forward, let's just say for the next 6 months, would you expect the share prices of these symbols that I've shown you to go much higher, stay the same, or have a significant pullback, right? Do you think that those rare earth companies will have much higher gains, sideways in 6 months, or sell off significantly? And it's a real tough question. No one knows the answers here. Art is kicking ass. I'll have him tune in after the show. Yeah, he's absolutely kicking ass, John. And I brought it up here, like with some of these charts. Let me see. I'll do a poll here. Let me do a poll. Sorry, it takes me a second to type them in, which I hate doing polls. Let's see. Ask a question. In the this is so difficult. In the next 6 months. You want 6 months or a year? I'll do 6 months. 6 months. Prices of rare mineral stocks will be ... And we'll say higher, lower, and we'll add a third one, which is... All right, so there we go. Start the poll. Hopefully I typed everything correctly. When I go fast like that, I make mistakes. It says in the next 6 months, the prices of rare mineral stocks will be, I got higher, lower, or the same. And it's just kind of a perfect storm, John. Like your pops absolutely nailed it perfectly if he's still in these things, because this trade deal with China, the issue with China, it's been no mystery that it's been about rare earth, right? We've known this for a long time, and I'm bringing up some different symbols. Now that all of a sudden Trump's playing hardball again, stocks like Ucore, rare metals, this thing is just exploding. But I am concerned with the real big surges in volume. Again, that to me feels like the momentum, the euphoria, the greed is flooding into these. And that, again, that does not mean that this is the end. It just means when you have a huge surge, climactic volume, as you do on some of these other ones, let's see, bring up, I think of USAR was pretty good too. Typically, when you have big volume surges, they do come pulling back quickly, which would give you a buying opportunity. So I'll let you guys go. If you're watching this one right now, I'll give you like another 30 seconds to click the poll in chat. Click that poll in chat, just so I can get as many in there. There are now several news articles about buying rare earth mineral stocks. Right, Les? And that's what's helping drive this, right? It sounds like Art was buying these months ago when IBD ran an article talking about rare earth and the issues with China, which this isn't brand new news. We've known about this for a long time, that China has a stranglehold on rare earths, and it seems to kind of keep rising higher and higher. Now all of a sudden it's become that main bargaining chip for the deal with Trump and AI materials, if you will, chips, etc. So yeah, I think it's drawing in a lot more people. It's becoming a crowded trade. And there were a couple charts I looked at that I just really, really like the volume spikes. It's just, I'm salivating looking at CRML. I forget which one it was. There was one that looked just absolutely fantastic. Maybe it was MET-C. No, MET-C actually looks okay. MET-C actually looks like the best looking chart on here. I can't remember which one, but there was one that had like just climactic spikes of volume. All right, let me end this poll. You guys have had plenty of time. Bam. He's already done 10x and so yeah, that's awesome. All right, end that poll. So it looks like 63% of you said higher, 20% you said lower, and 17% stayed the same. My vote is higher. I do think that this is going to be a much more in-demand commodity, or commodities, because there's many different rare earths going forward. But I think for now, I feel like this is a bit overstretched. This is an unrealistic ascent in value based on people getting emotional and saying, oh my goodness, China's playing hardball, let's jump into it, right? So I would anticipate that over the next week or so, we'll see if I'm right or wrong, because I'm not going to do a show until next Monday, so that we'll see a bit of a pullback here, but this trend start to continue at a more logical ascent, right? When you have something that moves at like an 80-degree angle, that's not sustainable. But what is sustainable would be something with a much more, let's say 45-degree angle trajectory. Let's see. Does Barron Trump own REM stock? Yeah, I bet Congress does. And that would surprise you how, Margaret? Well, why would it surprise anybody here that our politicians are already in these rare earth stocks before this all happened? I mean, come on. I don't trust these politicians as far as I could throw them, and I would be willing to bet you that, yes, they do have loaded up on these ones just knowing that this is going to be, an issue and drive prices higher. So congratulations, Art. I'm glad you're crushing it. Just don't give it all back, right? Not that it's going to go all the way back down. I don't think these things are going to go all the way back down, but as I mentioned earlier, if you look at this, just USAR from its bottom to its peak, 229%. 229% in 25 days, that's probably going to have a pullback. And, you'd hate to give back a large percent of those gains. Another one was ARRNF. I mean, this was up 400% in just a very short window of time. That volume spike the last 3 days just screams emotion and climactic volume. And typically, those types of things come reeling back down in a short window of time. So just keep your eye on that one. I, for one, would lock in some profit and be very happy with my gains. If it dropped enough, I'd buy back in. I'd be happy to buy back in. And those of you like myself who just don't know enough about this industry to take the time to filter them all, you can go to some of these ETFs like I have over here, and let's check the volume on these REMX just to see how liquid they are. So here's it says REMX is the ticker symbol. As I mentioned in the last couple of days, this ETF alone traded 4 million shares. Before that, it feels like for the last 5 months or so, it's averaging about 300,000. So we're well over 12x normal volume. And if you go back into January and February of this year, you're looking at like 48,000. So clearly this has been escalating. People have been seeing this happening, and all of a sudden we get that big move to the upside. Taxes. China on course to impose rare earth tariffs in December. Prices may go higher until then. Yeah, of course. And why is that happening? Because we have a president who says, I'm going to slap 100% tariff on China if they do this or that or the other thing, right? So we're getting a tit for tat type of thing. Rare earth could certainly impact a lot of businesses, but what, right? If we impose 100% tariff on all China goods coming in, what's more damaging? I would argue that 100% tariff on all imports coming into America would be far more damaging. I also believe that, and this is just me being that bitter cynic and not trusting the words from the president, that by making these statements of 100% tariff on China, it's creating fear on your and my part. Let me ask you guys this. If you knew, it's October, holiday season's coming, and he said November 1st, putting 100% tariff on China. Anything comes into America, 100% tariff. How many of you, just type in yes or no, how many of you would rush out and try to buy as much holiday stuff or all the things you're thinking that you need before November 1st? How many of you would do that? I'm just curious, right? I'm just curious what you guys think. Because if you impose a 100% tariff on China, goods and services are going to go way up in cost, right? Steve says, China doesn't care, it's just for show. I totally agree with you. But what if we get to October 1st and it's all of a sudden 100% higher tariffs? I'll tell you, I'm fortunate because I have no one to shop for holiday gifts. I have my dog and hope he makes it. I would be one that actually went out and bought more goods and services. I would be the guy who went out and bought more because I don't want to risk it being double the price the next day. But I agree with you. It's the taco trade. Yeah, absolute taco trade. Trump always chickens out. I love the acronym. It's great. But most of you just saying no. Yeah. Takechi says 26 is a better day to buy. Absolutely. Especially when you go to get into January. January is the best time to buy your Christmas presents, right? You just tell everybody you're out of town, even though you may have been home by yourself. Just tell them you're out of town and buy all those presents in January. Well, it looks like most of you would not have gone and bought before November 1st. I remember that earlier this year, there was a bunch of stuff that I wanted. I have a list of things that I need and want. Most of it's just want, not needs. But I ended up buying all that stuff before the tariffs hit. I just didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to take that chance. And that may happen here again if Trump does the November 1st thing. I feel like it's designed to cause people to buy, drives prices up, increases GDP, and businesses do well, which makes the economy look even better. And then you backpedal and everything is okay. All right, enough of that. Let's move on to something else. Let me run through our markets today, and then I'll go back to a question from Rita, which came in. An interesting one about asset classes and which ones you should be trading. Again, you should trade whatever you feel comfortable with, but I'll give you my 2 cents on the progression, if you will, of which asset classes might be best for you to trade. So let's scroll back up here and go sort these by bad to good. On the bad list, we had Bitcoin today. Scarily falling pretty aggressively. We came down below that 113 mark. We have a spike that goes, you see the demand zone down there around 109, 108. That's not good, right? That you don't want to get down to those levels. Volume wasn't particularly high today, so that kind of is concerning as well. It means there's not a lot of demand to hold this thing up. Typically on big down days, you get big surges in volume, and we don't have that today. So that's not a great sign for the Bitcoin futures, down 2.83%, but still at 113,000 and change. All right, crude oil. We had that little rally up yesterday, which who knows, may have just been a retest. Today we're selling off again. And again, this has been my point, which was I expect oil to continue to slide here until the next flare-up. And I do believe that flare-up is going to happen in the near future, right? Maybe by the end of the year, we'll get something where all of a sudden somebody violated a ceasefire, violated some truce, or kidnapped somebody, did something stupid, and all of a sudden this whole thing blows up again, and oil's back above $80 in a short window of time. So just something to keep your eye on, but the trend is your friend till the bend at the end. There has been no bend since June in that down move in crude oil. Next on the list is that 10-year bond. Ooh. Precarious. Remember, we've had Bill Addis telling us that he felt that this was going to go higher, and he had some very compelling arguments for it. I still love Bill's perspective, but if you look at the way this is going, it looks like lower lows, lower highs. Now, we bounced off these lows on the 10-year right now, today, at 4%. We hit those lows back on September 11th. We hit those lows back on September 17th, and here we are again on October 14th, right down to almost that exact same level. If that doesn't hold, I think you're looking at this low point from back in April where that yield will drop down, and that low point was right around 3.86, which is great for the economy. It's great for the markets. It's cheaper money for the long haul. Kind of hurts the savers, though. You're not going to make as much yield, and that yield curve should probably shift lower altogether. NASDAQ, only 5th place today, down 0.64%, but from a technical perspective, I don't see anything here that's really that exciting. We had a massive down day on Friday, a great up day yesterday off the joy that, I was just kidding. China, don't worry about China. And now all of a sudden, we have a nice little down day of 0.64%. I don't think that this tells us anything, all right? I don't think it tells us anything on this chart, but we'll see what tomorrow gives us. Dollar index was your 4th place finisher, still holding this sideways pattern. The good news for anybody who's bullish on that dollar is it has not made a new low. The last time it made a new low was on October 1st. Actually, it's been making higher lows every day since then. That's a pretty darn good sign for the dollar index for anybody who's bullish. And again, you don't really want the dollar to be bullish if you are looking at a bullish economy. You want the markets to rally, then you want a weaker dollar. So this is something that at some point may start to weigh on our markets by causing the dollar to rally. That could hurt the equity markets. All right, S&P 500 down a tiny little bit today, down 0.12%. Very similar to what we had with the NASDAQ, but I don't know, I just don't really feel like there's anything to be gleaned from this picture. Nothing here technically tells me it's bullish or bearish. It just means a lot of indecision, and we ended up pretty much the same for the day. Gold, though, continues to rally. Remember, we had that big sell-off last week, and then people were saying, well, is this the time you got a gold? It's like, it hasn't made a new swing low. It hasn't pivoted. I still am in the camp that there's a pullback coming for gold, but right now, it's still just making those higher highs. It was up 0.74% today, 41.63 an ounce for gold. Gotta love that. And finally, Russell 2000. Just look at that. Tiptoe through. Bing, bing, bing. We got Russell looking fantastic. 1.45% move to the upside. As you can see here, all-time high breach and looking great from a technical perspective. 25.10 is what we saw for that Russell 2000. Let's see. What else did... thank you, Gio. Yeah, don't forget to hit that. It's funny. I watched some videos on YouTube, and usually when people do like a video, like 30 seconds in, they're like, guys, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe, support the channel. I don't think I ever really do that, but thank you. Gio's my fan for getting the subscribes and likes. If you're new, hit that subscribe. If you're just a regular out there and you like the show, hit that like button. Okay, let me go into two different things here. First one, I'm going to talk about this question from Rita. So Rita sent this one in through the Trader Merlin website, which I will update to show you that I'm going to be gone for the next 3 days. Sorry. Maybe I'll post some pictures from there or something. I don't know. I don't know what you guys would like me to show you from the conference. Maybe I'll just post pictures of myself, but I don't know. I'm not much of an egomaniac. Rita's got a great question. She says, shall a new student of trading go for futures or options to make the most likely best income objective monthly income goal? Personally, I think that the logical progression is once you understand core strategy, right? Once you have a basic strategy around how you're going to find trading and investing opportunities, right? What is the technical side? What's the chart patterns look like? Once you establish your rules on drawing supply and demand zones, once you find your rules on how you set stop losses, etc., I would say start with the equity markets, right? Start with stocks. And the reason for that is you don't have any transaction costs. So you can buy one share of a stock. And most people won't do that because most people want to make money right away out the gate. Look, man, you're brand new. You're just starting out. You shouldn't be trading really big share sizes of volatile stuff. Pick a slower moving stock just so you understand execution. See how it all works out. Nice and slow. One share, no commission costs. You won't lose a lot of money. After a certain amount of trades, up to you. My old mentor said you got to do at least 100 trades. I think that might be a little bit much before you step to the next level. I would say you start to move up until you're comfortable. I think futures is the next best step for one reason. It's easy to understand and you get leverage. That's two reasons, right? It's easy to understand and you get leverage. With stocks and with futures, you make money when the markets go up and you're long, or you make money when you're short and it goes down. That's it. You don't make money in the opposite direction. You don't make money when it's short, okay? So I would say futures. Now, once you get those down, I personally think options are the best trading vehicle possible because it can do so much. But if you went to start your first time trading and you tried to learn how to trade options, I would contend that's probably like trying to fly an F-35 fighter jet. Whereas if you're trading stocks very slowly, one share at a time, that's like one of those little starter planes you get to the local airport and it's a training plane, right? You got like 4 knobs and a stick, a yoke, and that's it. Way easier to fly that thing. An F-35, man, you better have hundreds of hours of experience before you even think about jumping in that thing. And I think just the language of options, not just the puts and the calls, but the spreads and the diagonals and the straddles and strangles, all that stuff is going to confuse people up front. I would get comfortable with trading and investing first and then take that step into the options arena. And I think that once you get there, options are probably the best way to go. But to start there, I think is just too challenging. I think it's too challenging. Yeah, the Greeks. It's not for the Greeks, right? Steven says, options are a bit difficult to learn. Lots of things to be aware of, in my opinion. Yes. I think it can be very, 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 very confusing. So long and short, that's an easy way to go about it. I can go long. I make money when it goes up. I go short. I make money when it goes down. That's the easy solution there. All right. Thank you for the question, Rita. I hope that helped. I wanted to bring this thing up today because I'll tell you, I'm getting more and more nervous every day when I hear that OpenAI has made another deal. Remember, they did a $100 billion deal with NVIDIA, a $100 billion deal with, was it Broadcom? AMD, right? They're throwing money around like a rapper at a strip club. I mean, it's just, make it rain. I'm just throwing money to everybody. At least with this one, with Walmart is the deal now. They're not throwing like $100 million at it. This is just them using AI to buy things. So you can now go shopping. Who is behind OpenAI? That is Sam Altman. Sam Altman, who him and Elon Musk hate each other. I think hate might be a mild word for the love that those two have for each other. And I think Sam Altman is just trying to do outlandish, wild, crazy things that could come back and backfire, in my opinion, right? To try to get ahead of Elon Musk. Because I think Elon Musk, once he gets some time to come up from air from Tesla and all the other things, I think he's going to go all in and try to crush OpenAI. Would not surprise me to see him do that at all. I think he's got the resources and the determination and just the craziness to make that happen. So OpenAI, I think, is really extending themselves, but it's just making me nervous on this AI bubble. The more I think about it, the more I analyze these charts, the more I look at it, I feel like we're definitely getting bubble-icious with AI. You saw NVIDIA today. I'll run through our these are not the Magnificent Seven. Those numbers were really ugly. Here's our Magnificent Seven today. NVIDIA was your biggest loser, down 4.4%. Right after it popped up, had a nice shooting star. We even talked about it. If it breaks below 191.06, there's your entry. It's currently sitting at 181. That's a 10-point move in just a couple of days. Not bad if you're playing that shooting star that happened just a few days ago. NVIDIA, the more I look at it, the more it makes me nervous. I've told you this several times. I just feel like they're propping up the market by partnering with all these different companies like CoreWeave, like OpenAI, and saying, oh, we'll do a deal with you, but you got to buy like $100 billion worth of our chips. I'm like, okay, we'll buy $100 billion worth of your chips. And like, oh, we'll help you out with that. It just makes you really, really, really nervous. It really kind of a bad scene today for most of Magnificent Seven, right? You saw NVIDIA down 4.4%, Amazon was down 1.6%. I do have a bunch of dry powder since I'm out of my MicroStrategy. I am still looking at this level here on Amazon, which is between 209 and 207. If we get into those zones, I may actually be a buyer of Amazon. I'm a fan. Tesla down 1.5% today, but still actually holding fairly decent. You have Meta down 0.99, but notice Meta has been bouncing in that yellow box that we drew there when it first hit the zone back in July 17th. And that zone goes from about 704 to 691, and it's in it again today. Remember, the more times it hits that yellow box, the more likely it's going to break through. Not a good sign. Microsoft, it was your third place finisher for our Magnificent Seven, down 0.09. Not that big of a deal. Still feels okay, although it can't seem to make a higher high. This most recent peak we saw on October 6th, just as a sign of weakness there. Apple, up on the day, 0.04, but not really recovering from this big sell-off. It really looks like the equity markets, but a little more exaggerated. And finally, Google, 0.63, looking the best. And Google is now hit that yellow box we've got drawn on your screen between two. Oh, it took this yellow line. Let me get rid of that yellow line, or that blue line. The zone there that we're just bounced off of today was 241 down to 236. Remember, that was drawn because of this breakout that happened over here. You had this rally base and then a rally out of it that goes all the way back to September 12th. We retested it on October 1st, and then we dove into that one on October 10th, and now we're bouncing out of it. So let's see if that continues on to the upside here. But all in all, not too bad. And speaking of not bad, and as I run through this stuff quickly and try to wrap up, you look over at the earnings for today. Talk about a great start to earnings season. Johnson & Johnson, they beat earnings. Not bad. You had JP Morgan beat earnings by 5%. Citigroup crushed earnings. They were supposed to make $1.91. They came out at $2.24, so that was a pretty big beat. Goldman Sachs beat earnings as well. Wells Fargo beat on earnings. Pretty much any company that reported, including Domino's, BlackRock, Johnson & Johnson, Ericsson, all beat on earnings today. So nice start to the earnings season. Surprised to see not a better move in the equity markets, although we did get a nice move up in the morning. It was looking good, and then slowly starting to sell off near the end. So great day for earnings. On the economic announcement front, let's go and show you what's happening for tomorrow since I will not be here tomorrow. My apologies again. You have the Empire State Manufacturing Index. That one is not a government-issued report, so that one will come out. Just keep that in mind. The government reports for the rest of the week, I'll show you here. Some of these reports may not be coming out. For example, and I won't be doing the show on Thursday, you can see here you have some announcements that are tentative. Your PPI numbers, your retail sales. You have some housing numbers on Friday that are coming out, which, housing starts. Is it housing starts? No, it's existing home sales is the one that's a government agency. Housing starts is put together by the Census Bureau. So that one may not come out either. So you're going to get a lot of reports that may not be released. So just be careful with that. Sometimes those reports don't get put out in time, and that could create some problems for you. If you're anticipating those reports, just know that they're tentative for those specific days. How much money does this guy have? He's been spent $1 billion in the last few days. he spent billions, right? Sam Altman, I think he has a pre-market. I think that OpenAI has a higher, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that OpenAI has a higher valuation pre-IPO than SpaceX. I think SpaceX was valued at $500 billion, and it sounds like this one's got an even higher valuation, and they're not even turning a profit. There's no money. They do not make money. They lose money at OpenAI, but apparently their valuation is over $500 billion, which means you can now pull from a lot of capital. Yeah, and he's just swinging it around like crazy, Steve. Absolutely swinging that money around like wild. Chio says, Merlin, can I ask you what made you change your mind of not selling Bitcoin this year? Adoption. The president. The fact that the president of the United States signed a document, executive order in the first couple weeks saying a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The fact that the president is a major shareholder in World Liberty Financial, who one of their largest positions is Bitcoin. The fact that the president of the United States, who's making these rules, or at least has a big hand in them, is one of the major shareholders of DJT, which is accumulating massive amounts of Bitcoin. The fact that the son of President Trump, Eric Trump, is now running American Bitcoin, which is also accumulating mass amounts of Bitcoin. Not only that, but Barron and other Trump family members have large positions in cryptocurrency. So for me, it feels, if I just take a step back and look at the probability, when you have the president of the United States, who we know can do really irrational, wild things, if his whole family is tied up in crypto, and the legacy is tied up, could be literally hundreds of billions of dollars ultimately worth of cryptocurrency, I don't think that Trump would let at least the political side of things derail the success of cryptocurrency this year. Now, there's always the potential for a black swan event like we saw with Terra Luna in 2001, and that would time up perfectly with right now. However, even if I did see a massive sell-off in cryptocurrency, if I saw a big sell-off from a black swan event, I'm still going to hold because my target's not this year. One of the main reasons I wanted to sell this year is I was believing and hearing that we may get a no capital gains tax on crypto. Now, if that happened, I'd sell this year no matter what. So I could clean the slate on my portfolio and get all my capital gains taken away, no problem. I don't have to pay that, and then I'd buy right back in. So I think that given the circumstances, this time's different. That's just my perspective. I'm not 100% sure. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but I don't think we're going to get that 4-year cycle. I think what we're going to get is the people who are in Bitcoin, the historical veterans like myself, I guess I could call myself a veteran now, most of them, I think, are probably going to liquidate their position based off the 4-year cycle. But I don't think BlackRock is. I don't think these big institutions are going. I think they're going to continue to accumulate. One of the charts I'm using for my presentation in Orlando shows institutional accumulation, and it does nothing but go up, continually up and up and up and up. And if we get the Clarity Act to go through this year, personally, I don't think it will. I think the Clarity Act will be next year. But the Clarity Act will create legal parameters for what businesses can hold, what they can get into with crypto, which ones are legitimate, which ones are securities and not. At that point, we have companies that have hundreds of billions of dollars on their balance sheet just wanting to put it to work. Now maybe they can go and buy Ethereum and make 3% yield on that by holding ETH. Maybe they can go buy Bitcoin and earn yield on that. So I think that there's plenty of opportunity. I see far more to the upside. The only thing I think that derails this is a black swan event. And there's many people that think that China could be the one that crushes it because they're the second largest sovereign government with Bitcoin, but I don't think that that's going to happen. That's it. Okay, that's going to do it for me, everybody. Again, and no show tomorrow, Thursday or Friday. My apologies. I just got too much on my plate to do, so I hope that you guys have a fantastic remainder of your week. Be careful out there. Watch those rare earths. It's going to be wild. And again, for those of you that are in Orlando, I will be there for the next 3 days. Well, not 3. I'm traveling tomorrow, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those are my presentations up on your screen. Take a screenshot of it if you're going to be there, and meet me at one of those. Say hi, and I hope to see you guys there. That said, have a great remainder of your week, everybody. I will see you on Monday. Take care.